Hello and welcome to this video. We're going to be talking about the star formation today. We're going to talk about what it is, we're going to be talking about why we might use it, and what happens if we don't. This information is going to be most useful for U8 5v5 soccer, for youth soccer, as we're just learning the basics of the game. To start with, we're going to look at the formation itself. Formation is all based on the position of the midfielder. The midfielder is the position, you guessed it, in the middle of the field. He is the one who's going to be sometimes defending, sometimes attacking, sometimes he's going to even be shooting and scoring, but the formation is all going to be based on where the midfielder is and what he's doing. The next position that we need to consider are the forwards. There's going to be two forwards in the star formation, the left forward and the right forward. The left forward is going to be to the left and forward of the midfielder. The right forward is going to be to the right. These forwards are responsible for attacking primarily. They're going to be getting the ball after the defenders or the midfielder push it forward, and they're going to be the ones primarily setting up the attack and shooting on the goal itself. The last two positions to consider are the defenders. The defenders are to the left and to the right of the midfielder, and they're going to be behind him. All these players are going to be playing together. The defenders are going to be responsible for stopping the attack of the other team. They'll stop their attack and they'll restart our own by stopping the ball and moving it back in the direction of the other team's goal. Now, the way that the formations are going to work is that all players will be working together. This means that when the players move across, they're going to go all across together. They're going to stay spread out. They're not clumping together. And they're actually all going to be based on where the midfielder is. So when the midfielder moves, everybody moves with him. If the midfielder moves back, everybody moves with him. If you take an extra special look at this, you'll see that the midfielder is actually going to be moving, and everybody then moves based on where he goes. So if he moves forward, everybody notices and moves forward with him. If he moves back to the left, then everybody moves back and to the left. Back, everybody goes back. This means that the midfielder is going to be especially important. It has a lot of responsibility for being in the right position and setting up the team to be in the right position throughout the game. Now, why would we use a formation, especially with players this young? Well, the primary reason is because this is how the field positioning goes when we don't use a formation. So we'll have one player who has the ball. Without a formation to base where we're supposed to go, everybody generally kind of starts moving towards whoever's kicking the ball. They kind of collapse down towards him, and as he kicks it further, they continue to collapse, sometimes even getting in his way, getting around him, being confused about who has the ball, so sometimes they'll take it from their own teammate. Now, this positioning might not seem so bad until you add in a whole other team who's doing a very similar strategy. If everybody's clumping around the ball, the problem is that sometimes the ball will be kicked forward, and it'll be to our advantage. But just as often in this kicking battle, the ball will be kicked back behind us, and then it'll be kind of a race towards the goal. Now let's see the same scenario, but using a formation. So we have our player with the ball who's forward, and now everybody's in formation behind him. Now, at first, it seems like this player is in a worse position. He has fewer teammates near him, and he has the ball, and he's all by himself. But the difference is that now he has options. Instead of just getting into a kicking match with the other team, he can send the ball back to his midfielder, who can pass it across, and now we're in a great position where we could go around and score on the other team. Additionally, if that didn't work, he could always pass right across to his other forward. So the right forward passes to the left forward, who can then go and score. Realistically, sometimes if you're outnumbered, you're not going to win those battles. And so we could see what happens if our right forward loses the ball. So let's say it just happens to get by him this time. This isn't a failure scenario. This is actually showing how this formation will work for success. So the midfielder can then move down, choose to attack the ball, and everybody moves with him because we're staying in formation. Now the midfielder has options, and if he can win this one-on-one battle, then he can pass it forward or backwards to his defenders or forward to his forwards. Let's say the scenario happens again and we lose the ball again. This time the midfielder decides, oh, that player kicked it too far. He knows that the defender is ready for this. Something happens that indicates to him that he doesn't need to go get the ball. He can position himself to support the defender attacking the ball, who then moves up and does the same attack. And now the defender can try to wrestle the ball away and get it to the other defender or push it forward to the midfielder. All of this is to say that these formations are going to help build skills for our youth soccer players to ensure that we can succeed. Now, the questions you might be asking is, there's no goalie? Correct. In this use of our players, there's no goalie. Goalie skills are fairly advanced, and we will eventually incorporate them into the team as we play, potentially in the coming years. But for now, we're going to focus on 5v5. This also gives us an advantage when we're on the attack, because we're going to have 5 players versus their 5 that will be on their side, and it'll give us a great advantage in the defense. If they're using a goalie, they'll only have 4 attackers against our 5. Lastly, the other teams are likely going to be focusing highly on individual skills like shooting, dribbling, scoring, and passing. Now, those are all great things to focus on, but if you can't pass to each other because you're all clumped up out on the field, then they're going to be basically useless skills. So that's why we're going to focus on the formations, and we'll simultaneously spend a little bit of time on our own foot skills and passing to each other, things like that. And that's formations. So if you have any questions or comments, leave it in the section below, and I'll see you on the pitch.